what's up everyone? It's Dr. Samuel Adebayo with Mula Academy, back again to break down another complex issue into something we can all understand. Today, we're diving deep into the wild world of politics and finance. We can't afford to ignore this relationship, especially in a free market economy like the one we live in. Politics and finance are like two peas in a pod, inseparable and constantly influencing each other. Politicians need money to run their campaigns, and a lot of that money comes from big businesses and wealthy donors. Section 2. The power of the vote. How economic decisions sway elections. In a democracy, we the people have the power to choose our leaders. Politicians know this and understand that to stay in office, they need to keep voters happy. A politician running for re-election during a recession might promise to create jobs and stimulate economic growth. If the economy is booming, the incumbent party might campaign on a platform of stay the course. Essentially, they're using the strong economy as evidence that they deserve to be re-elected. Section 3. Beyond the ballot box. The real-world consequences of economic policy. The relationship between politics and finance goes way beyond election cycles. The decisions that politicians make about the economy have real-world consequences for all of us. When the government decides to cut taxes, that might mean less money for essential services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. The decisions made in the halls of power have a direct impact on our lives, whether we realize it or not. The tax break tango, a dance for votes. Taxes are the lifeblood of any government, funding everything from roads and bridges to schools and hospitals. Politicians know that tax cuts are a surefire way to appeal to voters, especially in the short term. But tax cuts have to be paid for somehow. If you're reducing the government's revenue, you either have to cut spending elsewhere or find a way to make up the difference. The devil is always in the details. Creating jobs, securing votes, the political promise of employment. Everyone wants a good job that pays a living wage and provides some sense of security. When a politician vows to create jobs, it's music to the ears of many voters. They might offer tax breaks or other incentives to businesses to encourage them to hire more workers. They might invest in infrastructure projects, creating construction jobs in the short term and boosting economic activity in the long term. But the relationship between government policy and job creation is complex. Beyond the hype, unveiling the true cost of economic policy decisions. When politicians make decisions about the economy, there are always trade-offs. If the government decides to cut taxes for corporations and wealthy individuals, it might mean less money for social programs. This could disproportionately impact low-income families and vulnerable populations. If the government decides to bail out a failing industry, it could mean that other industries receive less support. And if the government deregulates the financial sector, it could lead to greater risk-taking by banks and financial institutions. The invisible hand and the long arm of the law regulating commerce. Even Adam Smith knew that sometimes the invisible hand needs a little guidance. That's where regulations come in, folks. We have laws and regulations to protect consumers, workers, and the environment from the excesses of the free market. Some regulations prevent monopolies, set safety standards, and protect the environment. Wall Street versus Main Street, when financial interests collide with public good. On one side, we've got the big dogs of finance, the banks, the hedge funds, the Wall Street titans. On the other side, we have Main Street, the small businesses, the working families, the everyday people. Their interests don't always align and often clash. What's good for Wall Street isn't always good for Main Street, and vice versa. The decisions made in those fancy Wall Street offices can have a ripple effect, impacting the lives of everyday people miles away. The revolving door spins politicians, lobbyists, and the blurred lines of influence. Let's talk about the revolving door, that cozy relationship between politicians, lobbyists, and the corporations they represent. A politician might leave office and take a high-paying job at a bank that lobbies on financial regulations. This constant back and forth creates a tangled web of influence, making it hard to tell where public service ends and private interests begin. And guess who often ends up losing out in this cozy arrangement? The everyday people. Okay, let's bring it all home, folks. Economic policy isn't just some abstract concept discussed in ivory towers. It has real-world consequences that impact our daily lives in countless ways. The laws that get passed, the regulations that get enacted or repealed, the decisions made by those in power. They all trickle down and impact our ability to afford healthcare, find a decent job, get an education, buy a home, retire comfortably, and provide for our families. So, the next time you hear politicians talking about the economy, remember this: it's not just about GDP growth or stock market performance. It's about people's lives. All right, folks, let's talk about how these decisions made in those fancy offices actually impact real people's lives. Imagine this: you're working hard, trying to make ends meet, but then, bam, the economy takes a hit. Suddenly, your job isn't so secure anymore. Prices for groceries and gas start going up. Those decisions made by politicians, tax cuts for the wealthy, deregulation of industries, trade deals, they all played a part in creating this economic squeeze. Now, the economy is a fickle beast, isn't it? One minute, it's booming. The next minute, it's bust. These economic cycles are a natural part of the beast, but political decisions can either amplify the booms or soften the busts. They can either steer the roller coaster towards a smoother ride or send it careening off the tracks. When politicians prioritize short-term gains over long-term stability, it can create an economic system that's more prone to wild swings. This leaves everyday people feeling like they're constantly bracing for the next crash. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos where we'll explore solutions to these complex issues. Now, one of the most concerning consequences of this messy relationship between politics and finance is the ever-growing gap between the haves and the have-nots. We're talking about income inequality, wealth disparity, the rigged system that seems to favor those at the top while leaving everyone else behind. The wealthiest 1% are seeing their fortunes skyrocket. Corporations are enjoying record profits and paying little to no taxes. This growing divide isn't just morally wrong, it's economically unsustainable. Social mobility is a pipe dream. and resentment festers. Stay tuned for the next part, where we'll explore some potential solutions. All right, folks, we've talked about the problems, the economic squeeze, the growing gap between the haves and the have-nots. Now let's get to the good stuff, potential solutions. First up, let's tackle the elephant in the room, our tax system. The current system, with its loopholes and deductions that primarily benefit the wealthy, ain't exactly fair, is it? We need a system where everyone pays their fair share. Imagine that money being used to fund education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Now, if we really want to create a more prosperous future, we can't just focus on redistributing wealth. We need to invest in the things that will drive economic growth and opportunity for all. And I'm not just talking about those tax cuts for corporations that they promise will trickle down. We've heard that one before. And spoiler alert, it doesn't really work. We need to invest in our people, starting with education. We need to make sure that everyone, regardless of their zip code or their parents' income, has access to quality education from early childhood all the way through college and beyond. We need to support teachers and invest in schools, especially in underserved communities. And it's not just about education. We need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, creating jobs and boosting economic activity. We need to invest in renewable energy and sustainable technologies, not just because it's good for the planet, but because it's the future of the economy. Make sure you're liking this video and sharing it with your friends. We need to get these ideas out there. Section 3, amplifying the people's voice. Campaign finance reform and citizen engagement. Now here's the thing, folks, none of these reforms are going to happen unless we, the people, demand them. As long as politicians are beholden to their wealthy donors, as long as lobbyists have more influence than constituents, the system will remain rigged. We need to get big money out of politics, folks. We need to overturn Citizens United and pass serious campaign finance reform that empowers ordinary citizens and amplifies their voices. It's time to level the playing field and make sure that every vote counts, not just the votes that come with a hefty campaign contribution. But it's not just about campaign finance reform. It's about all of us being engaged citizens, staying informed, holding our elected officials accountable, and making our voices heard. Call your representatives, attend town hall meetings, organize in your communities, and vote like your future depends on it, because it does. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. Today's political arena and the finance politics tango. Politics and finance are intertwined, impacting everyday people. This plays out daily in the current political landscape. Look at the headlines: taxes, healthcare, trade deals, climate change. It's all about the economy. Political maneuvering and financial influence are everywhere. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more insights. Section 2. Populism, polarization, and the pocketbook. How economic anxieties shape political discourse. Now, one of the most striking features of the current political landscape is the rise of populism, both on the left and the right. And while there are many factors at play here, One of the biggest drivers is economic anxiety. When people feel like the system is rigged against them, when they see their wages stagnating while the rich get richer, when they're struggling to afford basic necessities while corporations are raking in record profits, it breeds frustration, resentment, and a sense of being left behind. This economic anxiety can manifest in different ways politically. Some people are drawn to populist leaders who promise to shake things up, to drain the swamp and stick it to the elites. Others become more politically polarized, retreating into their ideological corners and blaming the other side for their economic woes. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're finding this analysis helpful. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more videos like this. Reclaiming the narrative and demanding economic justice. Where do we go from here? Recognize the problem and understand how we got here. Reclaim the narrative. Demand better from our elected officials. Stay tuned for a call to action and a message of hope. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Section 1. The power of awareness. Knowledge as the first line of defense. Yo, we've been through a lot today, from the tango of tax breaks to the roller coaster of economic cycles, from Wall Street versus Main Street to the revolving door of influence. It can feel overwhelming, right? Like, how can we, the everyday people, possibly make a difference in a system that often seems rigged against us? Well, here's the thing. Awareness is power. Understanding how this system works, seeing through the political spin and the economic jargon, recognizing the real-world impact on our lives, that's the first step towards creating meaningful change. Think about it. Once you understand how politicians use economic tools to sway votes, you're less likely to be fooled by empty promises. Once you see how lobbying and campaign contributions can influence policy decisions, you'll demand more transparency and accountability from your elected officials. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos that empower you with knowledge. Section 2. Beyond the vote. Activism, advocacy, and holding power accountable. Now, awareness is crucial, but it's not enough to just sit back and be informed citizens. We gotta take action, folks. We gotta channel that knowledge into action, into making our voices heard, into holding those in power accountable. And there are so many ways to do that. We can organize in our communities, join advocacy groups, contact our representatives, attend town hall meetings, support candidates who align with our values, basically get involved in the political process beyond just casting a vote every few years. Remember, folks, democracy isn't a spectator sport. It requires active participation, constant vigilance, and a willingness to speak truth to power. And when we raise our voices collectively, when we demand better from our leaders, when we refuse to accept the status quo, that's when real change happens. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread the word and inspire others to get involved. Section 3. A shared vision towards an economy that works for everyone. Look, I get it. This whole thing can feel kind of bleak sometimes. The system seems rigged, the problems seem insurmountable, and it's easy to feel powerless. But cynicism never built anything worthwhile. We need to hold on to hope, folks. Hope for a better future, a more just and equitable society, an economy that works for everyone. Let's keep fighting, folks. Together, we can make a difference. Peace.